there, long time no see. My name's Morgan, this is my channel Pisces Paperbacks, and today I'm starting a vlog. It has been over a year since I posted a video on this channel, and I got a lovely comment on one of my reviews on Goodreads, just like rating a book, and someone said, like, you're the only person I know who's read this book. I miss your YouTube channel sometimes. And I was like, you know what? Me too. Let's do something, especially because I have been reading. I have already finished 6 books in the month of November, and I thought, while I'm here, let's keep these good times going. So I've picked out 3 books. Well, I'm in the middle of one, and I've picked out 2 more. I'm not trying to make this 5 books like a big challenge. Truly, I'm going to keep things small and simple so I don't get overwhelmed and then abandon this forever. So here are the books that I have picked out. I'm going spooky cozy for fall. Starting with the book I'm in the middle of, I have started Magpie Murders by Anthony Horowitz. This is a really interesting murder mystery, kind of in the style of Golden Age of Detectives, and it has a really, really interesting framing device, which is something that I love. I love a weird structure to a book. So this is about Susan Ryland. She is a book editor. She edits the very, very popular long-running Atticus Pound mystery series. So when the book starts, we get a couple pages where she's like, this is what my life is like, and this is what my life was like before I read this manuscript. So we get, you know, regular pages, and then you turn the page, and suddenly, like, the book, and then you turn the page, and it's actually a second cover page. This is when you read, for the next 200 pages, the entire manuscript that she receives. There is not like a back and forth with her and this Atticus mystery. You straight up read the manuscript for 200 pages, and then it ends, and she's like, where's the rest of the manuscript? It didn't end. Like, there's no end to this book. It just stops. And so now I believe there is going to be a mystery as to, like, something to do with the author of the book that we just read within this book. So that's where I am right now. I am really, really enjoying this. I don't know what the plot of this book is yet, but I know that the plot of this book is about, set in 1955, and a woman, Mary, dies in the estate house in this town in England. She was the housekeeper. She falls down the stairs and dies. It is an accident. And then a week later, the man, like the man of that house, the man with the title, is brutally murdered. And so Atticus, the fictional detective, comes to this town and starts investigating, like speaking to the different people in town who might have had a motive, and kind of unveils this web of connections between the people in this town. Very, like, again, reminiscent of Golden Age of Detectives. And it ends, and he's just, like, revealed the quippy one-liner before explaining what happens, and then the book ends. And then the next line is Susan being like, where is the rest of it? So that's where I'm now. I'm really enjoying it so far. It's definitely taking me not longer. It's like taking me a normal amount of time to read for like how much I'm reading per day. It's just that I just finished reading 2 Ali Hazelwood books, and I read those each in 2 days, like a piece. And they read so fast. So now I'm like, why am I reading this so slow? This is normal. So here are the other books I picked out. They both fulfill some of the like challenge prompts, like year-long challenge prompts that I have going. Have the kind of like spooky but kind of lighter vibe that I'm feeling right now. First, we have Never Whistle at Night. This is a collection of Indigenous dark fiction, and I'm really excited about this. I love horror, but I haven't really been reading like any straight up horror lately. So this I think will be a nice like ease back into it. I've never really read a short story anthology. I've read like a short story here, a short story there, but I've never read a collection with all different authors. I've never read a short story collection, so I think this will also be fun, especially because it was edited. No, it wasn't edited by, it has an introduction by Stephen Graham Jones, who I love. I have not read from any of the authors in this book except for Tommy Orange, which I believe he wrote There. So I'm really excited to maybe find some new people that I want to read, especially because I think November is Indigenous Heritage Month. And then totally different from that, I have Sharp Edges by Jayne and Krentz. This is a romantic suspense from 1998, so I was a year old when this book was published. I love Jayne Krentz. She has not written under her pen name Amanda Quick in at least 2 years, and the last series she wrote under that name was not in a time period that I was particularly interested in, even though I read all 6 of them. But I am feeling the nostalgia for one of her like classics, and I have never read this one. Her contemporaries are not my favorite, but they're also very rarely horrible. Sometimes they're horrible, but rarely. So I'm excited. This will be hopefully a very easy, comforting, romantic suspense. I'm really trying to embrace the cozy this fall and like enjoy my hobbies. I'm trying to get back into knitting, even though I've been thinking about getting back into knitting, but I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to. And I want to get into sewing and maybe like historical costume, and I'm just really trying to embrace hobbies and like fun, cozy things this fall. I was just drinking a hot cider because my dog passed away a couple months ago. I haven't really been reading for the past couple months. I've kind of found a new fire under my butt for it, which is why I've been reading so much recently, but I didn't read anything for a few months. My dog, Marcy, was probably around 13. She was an adult when I adopted her, and I had her for almost 9 years. I got her when I was 20 years old in college, which is crazy, but yeah, adopted her when my best friend and I were 20. We lived together. She came with me to Texas when I was there. She moved back in with my mom with me when we got Elsa, and you know, she's been like a huge part of my 20s. I'm 28 now, and I miss her a lot. The house is really different without her here, and I'm definitely like embracing the things I love to try and bridge that, what feels like a gap in my life now. So that's what I think it would be fun to do with this YouTube channel, is like another thing to fill my time about things that I enjoy. I love talking about books. I love reading books. It's one of the things I love most in the world. So not to be a downer, but that's what's been up with me. I also saw Leve in concert. I haven't taken the sweatshirt off like since the concert, which is, you know, it is what it is. I love this sweatshirt. So anyway, I'll see you around. I'm halfway through this book, but it really feels like I'm not, because I haven't actually gotten to what the plot of this book is. So when I'm halfway through this, I'll give you a little update, and I'll also let you know if I start any audiobooks. I think I just borrowed one that is a nonfiction about disability, so I'll let you know how that goes. Hello, it's been a few hours. I have not been up to much except for going grocery shopping, reading, and I made some oh my god, pumpkin bread. I was basically so productive this morning that I can kind of just chill, which is really nice. And I wanted to give you an update about Magpie Murders. This is my book stand also. I'm obsessed with it. I like to use it while I eat and also just while I sit so I don't have to hold the book up. And I now know what the mystery is post manuscript. I don't exactly want to say, because I do think that there is a pretty fun reveal, but something has happened to the author of the book. So he is not there for them to reach out to and be like, hey, where's the rest of the manuscript? So Susan is investigating. She's going around, she's meeting people from his life. They were not particularly close. She didn't really like him, even though she liked his work. And it's just really interesting to, you know, as the author of the real book, Anthony Horowitz, continues this story, there are so many parallels between what we're learning about the fictional author, Alan Conway, and what was in the manuscript that we read. And I'm really enjoying it. I love a mystery. I don't read enough like true mysteries. I think they are so fun. This is really interesting. It's kind of written in this dry-ish way, like pretty dry writing style, and I'm just enjoying it. I don't know. It is so different than the books I've been reading recently, which are like popcorn books. The Bride and Mate books by Ali Hazelwood, which I read last week, I read them so quick, and I'm also reading this one like fairly quickly, but compared to that, the writing itself, at least to me, requires that I slow down a little bit because it's not so instantly digestible. I also like Susan Ryland. I really feel like we're getting to know her, but not in so obvious of a way. You get to know her more by the things she doesn't say. and like the implications of the things she says. I don't know, I just really like it. I'd like to read another chapter or two tonight and then kind of relax. I did also start an audiobook. It's called Disability Pride. I forgot the name of the author. This is by a disabled journalist, and he is basically rediscovering the disability community. He was involved when he was younger, and then now as someone older, he's really interested in the community of Gen Z and younger millennials, like the new face of disability pride and disability rights, and kind of rediscovering that community. So I've literally only listened to the introduction. I'm not that far in, but I'm hoping that I enjoy it. I just put some sourdough that I started yesterday in the oven, and I wanted to update you about what I've been reading today. It is Monday night, so it's been almost 24 hours, probably more than 24 hours since we last spoke, and I finished Magpie Murders by Anthony Horowitz. I love mysteries. I think they're so fun, and I love a detective mystery. I love following someone who is better than me in solving mysteries as they figure out who killed someone, and this delivered on that twofold. There's two mysteries in this. You get to read the Atticus Pund manuscript mystery, and then obviously there's Susan Ryland in the real world trying to figure out what happened to Alan Conway, and like that whole mystery. I really enjoyed this. I loved the structure. I guess it would be kind of mixed media, because at some points you do read other like letters or written things, and the font changes, the writing style changes. I definitely think this is quite a feat of writing. I don't know that I would recommend it to people as an introductory murder mystery. I feel like this is something I would recommend to people who I already know do like mysteries, and I also wouldn't recommend it for people who are like just getting into reading, because I really liked the writing, but I think that people who don't like things like this already would think it was very dry. It was funny, it was interesting, and in my opinion, impressive, the different voices that Anthony Horowitz wrote in, but none of them would I say are like easy breezy beautiful, you know, little popcorn moments. So, but I read this in 5 days, which is pretty good. This is almost 500 pages. It was 477 pages according to Goodreads, and I really liked this. I think I'm gonna give it a 4-star, but it's sitting solidly in like really enjoyed, highly recommend, but just not a favorite. Last night I also started Never Whistle at Night, the Indigenous dark fiction anthology. I read the introduction and the first story, and the introduction's by Stephen Graham Jones. It wasn't like my favorite thing I've ever read, but I think it was very interesting, and I liked the themes that it introduced as the start of what this is going to be. And then I didn't love the first story, but I've read 2 more, and I liked both of those more than I liked the first one. So we're on an upward trajectory. My favorite so far has been the third story, Navajos Don't Wear Elk Teeth by Connolly Lyons. I really liked that one. I found that very unsettling. I'm interested to see how this is going to go. Again, I've never read a short story anthology before. I don't actually know like the best way for me to consume it, like if I want to sit down and read a bunch of it at once, or if I want to read a one here, one there. So I guess this video will kind of just go until this ends. We'll see. And I'm really excited. I want to read a couple more, especially now that it's dark at night. I love reading scary things at night. I feel like it's more fun. So that's definitely going to be more interesting than like reading them during my lunch today at work. If I start another book tonight, it's going to be Sharp Edges by Jayne and Krentz. This is a romantic suspense published in the 90s, probably set in the 90s. I don't know if I'll start this because I do want to read more of this, but it also, like, I made some tea in one of my favorite mugs. This is the Harney and Sons White Christmas. I bought it because I love the tin. It's white tea with vanilla and almond flavors. I don't usually love an overly sweet tea, but I really like this. I don't know. And again, I just think that is so cute and festive. So I want to curl up with my tea and read a book, and I don't know if I want to read horror short stories while I'm being cozy with a book. Like, I will read a couple, but do I just want to only do that? Unknown. I don't know about you, but that doesn't look too bad to me. It could be taller. It could be more round, but I tend to make loaves with a higher water content, so they're a little bit more schlumpy. I also haven't made a loaf of sourdough in, honestly, almost 3 months. So this is my sourdough starter's first outing back in the game, and I'm not mad about it at all. It's going to be really good for toast in the mornings with my pumpkin butter, and that's what I need it for. If you're wondering why I'm so well lit, I bought these portable lights a couple months ago, and I'm finally using them, and they're so lovely and easy, and they can run off of a portable charger. My old filming lights were huge. They were so big, they were such a pain to set up, and I never wanted to set them up and use them, so it made it really annoying to film at night because the lighting in my apartment is horrible. Anyway, it has been 2 days since we last spoke. I wasn't able to film anything yesterday, and not that much has happened, except I started and finished Sharp Edges by Jayne and Krentz. I would say that this is like a classic 90s romantic suspense. It follows Eugenia Swift and Cyrus Chandler Colfax. Eugenia runs a glass museum in Seattle. She's very artsy, she's very highbrow, and Colfax is a security professional, private investigator who is from a much humbler background and like really takes pride in that. So they have like kind of completely opposite backgrounds and personal histories, and they are both going to Frog Cove Island because a man has died. The person who died was named Adam Daventry, and he was a huge collector of glass and artwork, like blown glass sculpture, and he has bequeathed his collection to the museum that Eugenia runs. And so she has decided to do like a working summer vacation trip, stay in his house out on this kind of like artist's island off the coast of Washington State and catalog his collection. However, Eugenia does have an ulterior motive. She was friends with the person that this man who died was dating, and a couple days after he died in an accident, she also died in another mysterious accident. Eugenia is convinced that she is responsible for this death in some way by introducing them, so she is there to investigate whether or not her friend actually died in an accident or was murdered. On the other side of things, Colfax is a private investigator hired by Adam Daventry's estate just to double check that there was not any mysterious circumstances surrounding his death. He fell down the stairs and broke his neck. It doesn't seem like it was murder, but just in case, they want to make sure that there's no suspicious activity going on. So while he is there to look into the death that happened, he also has his ulterior motive, which is looking for a very, very ancient piece of glassware called the Hades Cup, which he believes that Adam Daventry recently purchased in kind of a black market art deal, and which 3 years prior to the book was stolen from him while he and his security company were transporting it, resulting in him getting shot and his wife getting killed. When you're reading it, it doesn't really feel that complicated, but it does feel complicated to explain. They are posing kind of as a couple on this island, so nobody's really asking questions about why they're walking around together so much and investigating and asking questions, and I really loved this. I gave it 4 stars. Jayne and Krentz is an old reliable for me. I just like her writing style. She writes in a way where even her contemporaries, especially in this 90s, early 2000s, mid 90s era, which is where the bulk of the books I've read from her are from, even when her contemporaries, the way she writes does feel like it wouldn't be out of place in a historical, her kind of awkwardly formal dialogue and just the way that she narrates things in, again, an awkwardly formal way. I just like it. When you think of classic mid-90s historical fiction, Jayne and Krentz's historical pen name, Amanda Quick, is the bread and butter of that. And I just like it. I like the tropes that she uses. She always has a spunky, interesting heroine who has a hobby or a passion, whether that's glass, fossils, antiques, paintings, rare books. It's always something. And then the guy is always big, slightly emotionally repressed, but always in slightly different ways. And they're just always, I just like them. They're not always huge winners. Let me be clear. Just because I really liked this does not mean I necessarily recommend it as a quality good book. I do think it is pretty good, but it's not exceptional. And sometimes she has real clunkers, but it's just, she is an author where I know I'm probably 80% of the time gonna like the book. I just am. And I'm so happy that I read this. I read it in 2 days. It went so fast. I thought that the plot of this and the romance were equally well handled in this plot. I really liked Colfax's relationship with his nephew and kind of coming to terms with the way that he feels about his late wife. I really liked Eugenia's inner narration when she's realizing that she does think he's sexy. I love the gratuitous use of glass metaphor, like molten glass or melting like glass in a furnace when it comes to the sex scenes. Like, I just think that it's fun. I just think that it's fun. As for the other things that I'm reading, I am still 32% into my audiobook, Disability Pride. I forgot my headphones today, so I wasn't able to listen to it while I was walking to the train and walking home from the train, and that's like 40 minutes of solid audiobook listening time that I usually get. So I haven't made much progress on that. I also haven't made too much progress on Never Whistle at Night. I'm probably like 8 or 9 stories in now. Let me count. Hello. Sorry about that. My friend called me because she had some time to kill before hanging out with someone, and I love to chat on the phone, so we did that. I have only read a few more stories in Never Whistle at Night. I'm probably 8 or 9 in. I've liked them more as I've gone on. There was one recently that I literally I tried and I just did not read it. I'm not gonna say which one, but like the writing style didn't vibe with me at all. I might look up the audiobook on Spotify and see if I can just listen to that one story. But my favorites so far are Navajos Don't Wear Elk Teeth by Connolly Lyons. I think I mentioned that one already. I really liked Wingless by Marcy R. Rendon. Quantum by Nick Medina was really good. Hunger by Phoenix Boudreaux was so good. And I tried to look up the author and there's literally nothing else published from them. And I was like, maybe she doesn't have any other books on like Goodreads, but maybe she publishes short stories other places, like in magazines. Let me look on her Instagram. She hasn't updated her Instagram since 2019. So that one was kind of sad. I really liked her story, Hunger. This one, woo. It's hard because I really didn't read that much of this yesterday because I was so wrapped up in this. And unfortunately, the truth is that when I have an entire narrative novel, I do find that more compelling to just like keep reading than a short story collection because this is so stop and start. I know that I can really, really love short stories. I've done it before, but those have been times where I was on like Amazon. I had just gotten my Kindle. I had like a gift card. And so I really like to buy cheap stuff when they're on sale or when they're really inexpensive so I can like make my gift card stretch for a lot of books. And I was really into those 99-cent Tor.com short stories. And I read, I think it was Beyond the Dragon's Gate by Yoon Ha Lee. And I loved it so much that I read one of his full-length novels. But the short stories that I've loved, it's because I was buying like truly the short story. I wasn't buying like an anthology. I feel like that maybe is something I enjoy more than reading like a collection of short stories. I just want them individually, even though they are interesting, like kind of in conversation of this bigger context and like what are the recurring themes that different people are like representing differently or interpreting differently. I don't know, but I'm going to keep reading this. I just know that I don't want to only be reading this. I want to have a full novel to read as well, even if it does keep bringing me away from this. Like, I'll go back and forth. You know what I mean? As for what I want to read next, I was originally thinking that I wanted to pick up A Certain Hunger by Chelsea G. Summers. I actually put this on my anticipated reads of 2020. But I don't think I want to read this right now. I do want to read it eventually, but I think I want something that's like goofier. So let me go back to my shelf and reconsider. Okay, I'm pretty sure this is like as goofy as I could. I like totally swung the other way. This is The Gates by John Connolly. I love the cover. This is a middle grade fantasy about a boy named Samuel Johnson who witnesses strange goings on at 666 Crowley Road. And the family there has a flirtation with the underworld, but unknowingly call forth Satan himself and create a gap in the universe through which the gates of hell are visible. And so some things are like trying to break out of hell, and it's up to Samuel and like the cast of characters who give him strength to stand up to demonic power. And I just think I'm gonna like this. I feel like this is a really good post-Halloween read. So I'm going from orange to orange, which is kind of fun. Very different vibes. So this is gonna be what's on the docket. I'm 40% into The Gates. I'm also realizing this is the first time that I've been really trying to make videos, or like a video, since I got my new job, and it's winter, And the only time, unless I want to like wake up really early, the only time I have to like sit and talk to you is going to be after work, and the sun goes down while I'm walking home from the train station. So it's just like always going to be like inside and dark for the foreseeable future until the seasons change. In the meantime, let me tell you about this. It is, like I said, about an 11-year-old boy named Samuel Johnson, and he is trying to get ahead of the curve. He's trying to be a little early, you know, on top of things, and so he trick-or-treats a couple days early. And while he is at the house of the Abernathys down the street, he oversees them in the basement performing some sort of ritual in which they open up what seems to be a portal to hell, and then are replaced by demons who want to bring Satan to Earth, to like bring hell to Earth. And so thus far, Samuel has mostly been thwarting attempts on his life. I really like the demon lore. It's very quirky. This is definitely more on the whimsical side in terms of horror. It's definitely more of a fantasy horror. It's for middle grade, so it's never going to be like truly, truly scary, but it has been fun so far. I read 25 pages the other day or yesterday, and then today I sat down and I put on a read with me video. I don't even remember whose it was, but I read for like an hour and 15 minutes straight, and now I'm up to page 130, which I think is pretty good. It's not going to be a 5-star. I can tell you that right now, but it's definitely not going to be less than a 3. You can't really tell because this is a pillow I brought over from my bed, but I'm on my couch right now, and I'm trying to really consciously not let things pile up on my couch. I tend to just like throw my work bag here, or like a sweatshirt if I take it off, or this just like has a pile on it all the time, and I feel like I've been underutilizing my couch for reading because I don't like reading in bed. I know that's kind of a hot take, but I don't really like reading in bed. I fall asleep. I can't really get comfortable. I like to sit up a little bit more, so I usually read either on my kitchen table or now on my couch. I'm trying to leave it open for use at any moment, so I don't want to have to move things in order to enjoy my couch. And thus far, it's really working out for me. And when I sit on my couch, my cat sits on my lap. She likes to cuddle. She's a cuddly little cat. I'm very lucky. But when I lie in bed, like I'm lying down, so it's just like less comfortable. But on the couch, she'll just sit on my lap, and it's lovely. I finished The Gates by John Connolly, and I liked this. I thought this was a cute, quick, middle grade horror fantasy. I really liked the horror and demon elements. I thought that was really interesting and inventive, the way they were described. I feel like by the end, it became really noticeable that despite Samuel being the main character, I don't know, it just feels like you didn't spend a lot of time with him. It's not first person, it's third person, and it's described in a way that's very like outside of the mind. Like you're not like in his thoughts, so there feels like a lot of distance in between the reader and him. At least that's what I experienced. You are so crooked. Let me see if I can fix that. Is that better? Anyway, so I didn't really feel like super connected to the characters in this per se, which is something that often improves my experience of reading books when I like feel really interested and connected to and invested in the characters. I didn't really get that with this. I will also say there is a bit of like 2009 typical fat phobia. It's not like it lingers on the fact that some characters are fat, but it's definitely mentioned, and when it's mentioned, often it is like the butt of a joke. Like it is the punchline or setup to a joke that's happening. It doesn't happen always, but it happened enough that I noticed it. I think I'm gonna give this 3.5 stars. I decidedly enjoyed it, but it wasn't a fave, and I'm not gonna like gush about how much I loved it. So 3.5 stars feels right. This is also the first book in a trilogy, and I think I feel fine not continuing in the trilogy. This wraps up pretty well, and then there's like a bit of a like sprinkle lead into the sequel, and I think I'm fine with how this ended, and I'm not going to continue even though I did enjoy it. With that, I think I'm going to wrap up this video. I know I said I was going to keep going until I finished Never Whistle at Night, but I think this has been like a really good learning experience for me in that it's not that I don't like reading short story collections, but I don't like trying to read them quickly. I like that I read the first half over like 5 days, and then I'm just going to like read a couple stories at a time, like maybe a couple stories every day, like with my breakfast or like when I get to go to bed. But I don't want to sit down and like finish this in order to finish this video. I want to let this like linger. So I'm just going to wrap up this video. I finished reading 3 books. Magpie Murders, which I gave 4 stars, Sharp Edges, which I gave 4 stars, and The Gates, which is 3.5. So overall, like, I enjoyed all of these books. I think my favorite of the 3 is probably Sharp Edges, but that's just because I have a huge soft spot for Jayne and Krentz and her writing, and I often feel like when I'm getting, not fatigued by contemporary books, the place that I want to go, like my cozy reset place in terms of literature is romances from the 90s. Like mass market paperback romances from the 90s that I bought for $2 from a thrift store. That's where I want to go. That is like my soft place to land in between books. So, and it's been so long since I read one, and I really enjoyed it. So that's what I read this week. I hope you enjoyed this video. I think this was really fun to make. I'm really happy to like be getting into this again. I've been writing down little like TBR ideas for different videos for the end of the year, and yeah, I'm really excited. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye!